Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Abundance Formula podcast. I'm so excited today, not only to be back, I just realized I feel bad because I feel like millennials fall into this group where we grew up without social media or podcasts or these things that we have now learned to create thought leadership from. So we're young enough to remember a world without that, but then we're also enough to realize like it's useful, it's helpful, we're involved in it, right? We utilize it. But then what I'll do is I'll tap into that old school side of me where I'll kind of forget. I mean, you don't ever have to tell your following or your people or whatever what you're necessarily all the things of what you're doing in life, but at the same time I just didn't even think about just kind of making an announcement on here that like, hey, I'm going to take a hiatus for the holidays to just focus on my family and be super present. I obviously had just broke my arm, so I was going to be facing some challenges around that and figuring out what rehab looked like and all that. But mainly, I just wanted to be super present with my family for the close of the year. And I feel bad because I didn't like announce that or anything. And again, not that I had to, I just didn't even think about it. But I wish I would have, just because you guys were so sweet and were sending me messages like, "Hey, when's the next episode coming out? We can't wait to for the next one. Are you still doing the podcast?" Some people were concerned that like the podcast, like, I mean, it wasn't that many weeks, but it was probably a few weeks. So I'm sorry I didn't announce it. I will try to remember the next time I'm going to take a little alignment hiatus, because I definitely have done that a few times or several times over the many years this podcast has been around. Where I've just taken alignment time or just personal family time, or if there was, you know, grievance time that was needed, right? Just taking alignment time, as I like to call it. And I didn't like announce it necessarily. But I'm glad to be back. I have missed you guys. I'm always thinking about the podcast whenever I take a hiatus, which is to me, again, one of these signs of why I meant to do this. And I love this because it's never something like, oh, it's a relief not to have to release an episode, or it's a relief not to have to, like, I crave it. I cannot wait to get back to it. And I know I've said this so many times over the past year, where it's been last year was most of the episodes. I had a lot of guests on, but most of them were actually solo episodes. But mainly I've got some, like I've said multiple times, tons of big guests coming on. It's taken time to get on their calendars and to get calendars to align. So this year is when so many of those are coming up, you guys. And I know I keep saying that every time, but I've loved also being on the solo episodes with you guys. And I don't know. I feel like it's deepened our relationship and it's deepened the community. And I know just internal feels wise, I'm always like, well, people don't want to just hear me. They want to hear all these other people, but it's actually been kind of cool. Some of my top episodes were solo episodes. And I know I've heard other podcasts people say that they always think it's, that they're worried their community, but the community I think is around because we're the host. And so I'm just so grateful for you guys. You guys were so sweet, again, just checking in on me, making sure I was fine. Most of you knew I broke my arm. So I think a lot of you were concerned like that there might be more going on as to why I was absent the last several weeks, but I am all fine. I was just really enjoying closing out the year, being super present and just focusing on the family and enjoying that, and getting aligned for this year. So today is a gorgeous day here in Tennessee. We actually had a snowstorm, so it's literally snowing right now. I've got the windows open. You may even hear the kids playing outside. Kellen's out there with them. It's just beautiful. There's tons of snow on our evergreen trees that are right here out our office window where I'm recording this. It is literally beautiful. The snow has been falling since, I don't even know. They said it was supposed to start at 5 a.m. I wasn't up at 5 a.m., so I don't know if that's when it started. But since we woke up at 9 a.m., the girls actually slept in, which was surprising. I feel like I always woke up really early when I knew it was going to be a snow day, because they definitely announced that school was closed for yesterday. But anyway, so it's a gorgeous day to be recording. Beautiful view from me outside. And so I just wanted to connect with you guys, get back going. January launched this year. I know a lot of people always want to know what I do or what other people are doing to set their year up for success, or how they approach goal setting or focus and that kind of stuff. So I know a year ago I talked a little bit about what I have been doing the last several years that tends to work really well and not be overwhelming. But I just wanted to go over it again today, and it may even look a little different than it was last year. Always be ready to evolve your methods. Right? So one of my favorite things to do, instead of setting a bunch of resolutions anymore, is to truly just pick a word for the year. And usually it's just a word that I let come to me intuitively, like through my prayers and Bible studies, or just thoughts and just whatever's happening in my life at the time. I kind of just wait for the word to come to me. And this year I was a little worried because usually it hits me in December. Like the word for the next year kind of comes in December. And that's when when I have that time like I took to get really present and aligned, is I really kind of focus on that next word for the next year and go ahead and start thinking about what that looks like for the next year. But this word didn't actually hit me until, let's see, what's today? Friday. So last week maybe, or it was after the 1st of January. So it was a few days, several days into January, that my word for the year finally came to me and it felt right. Like other words would kind of pop in. It's like, yeah, those words are relevant, but like they're not the one. So I feel like when you're someone that picks a word for the year, like you're going to know when it's the word, and you don't have to have it by the 1st of the year, but you'll know when that word that's going to become your mantra for the year hits you. And it's interesting because when you finally land on that word, to me, what's so cool about picking a word for the year is it almost becomes your North Star for the year. And it's so neat how that word will become that word of encouragement when you need it, or when you feel lost, that word will pop in your head, or when you're feeling excited, that word will pop in your head, and it becomes this confirmation and this guide and this motivator. It's almost like this coach for you that comes in. And that's one of my favorite things that's happened since several years ago when I started just choosing a word for the year as sort of my guiding light. So this year, my word for the year that came to me was enjoy. And it kind of hit me when obviously amazing things were happening over the holidays, and excitement, a lot of great excitement towards this year, and the opportunities and the things that are coming were one set of feelings. But then the word actually came for me when I was literally in the middle of doing the therapy exercises I'm working on for my elbow at home. So update for everyone. So broke my arm in November, and finally got cleared, let's see, just a couple weeks ago, to finally start physical therapy and really working it. And so if you can see on YouTube, it's stuck at this, like, so right there, that is as straight as I can actively extend my elbow. And then I can flex it ultimately. I can get it, I got it warmed up, but I can ultimately get it normal to my shoulder like you would, but it's slow. It feels like the brakes are on, and it does hurt. So it's still in pain, and I cannot straighten it. So the goal right now is really working on getting my range of motion back. So my bicep is ridiculously tight. Like it's so like the shoulder, all these muscles are so contracted and tight. And so now it's been go time to get those to release. And it's painful, and it's hard, and it's really frustrating. And it takes a lot of extra time out of my day, honestly, to really focus on it. It's like an additional, I mean, the therapy exercises I'm supposed to do at home probably take a good 20 minutes, and I'm supposed to do them 2 to 3 times a day. And that's on top of like my normal health and wellness routine of focus, like working, like lifting weights and doing some cardio or something, so it's just, and then you have to work. So I can see the frustration that I've never broken anything before. So this is my first experience with this. And so again, so in the moment when I'm literally trying to straighten this arm, and I'm holding a dumbbell and I'm letting my arm straighten, and it's freaking out, it's spazzing out, it's hurting, and I'm trying to breathe deep and all this stuff, then in my head, I'm like, for a moment I thought, oh, this freaking sucks. It's so frustrating. And the thing is, I'll get it quite straight in therapy, or at this point I've gotten it to all the way straight after I've done these stretching exercises, and then it wants to recoil after a little bit and it gets back shortened again. It's all making progress. All is well. They're all very still confident I'm going to get my full range of motion back, but this is just what the journey's looking like. So in my head, I'm frustrated because I'm experiencing all this pain and time out of my day and schedule to then within an hour feel like everything goes back to where it was. So at first I was frustrated as I'm stretching, going through this pain, trying to breathe deep and all the things. And the word enjoy came to mind. And I was like, you know what? Enjoy it. Enjoy that. It's, I've had to implement a lot of grit throughout my whole life, but in the last several years, the grit's been more emotional, mental, not so much physical. It's been a while since I've had like some physical grit I've had to dig into. And even last year, in getting back to competing and being on the national stage, that was grit, but it was still like nutrition and like making the workouts happen even on a busy day or whatever. That's still not this. It wasn't physical pain. You know what I mean? We were watching the show Special Forces for the first time. That's just come on the other night, started a new season. And it's a different level of grit when you're talking physical, literal physical pain challenge that you are having to overcome. And so in my mind, it's like, enjoy that you need to up level this area of grit in your life again. You need to wake it up. You need to enjoy the amount of resilience. You need to enjoy the fact that this experience now is going to make me relate to so many more people. And especially as a personal trainer of 17 years and a practitioner that's helping patients who have contractures and helping people that are trying to go from point A to point B and they're so frustrated and they also have life going right. This is going to help me actually connect on a whole new level with the people that I want to serve. And that's actually a blessing. It may be really frustrating right now, but my mind was like, enjoy it. Enjoy that now you are growing deeper roots to connect to those people that you're going to touch and help and relate to. It's just relatability is huge. And the only way you can relate to somebody is if you've experienced or been part of some kind of experience somehow. And so one of the things I've been wanting to do in this next year is really continue to strengthen and deepen my community and understanding my community, what they need and what they want. And here I've broken my arm, right? And now I'm having to dig deep in not only my time and organization and intentionality, but fighting back these fears of what if I won't get it back or what if, and all that stuff, how much time is it going to take, all this stuff. Now I'm having to work through that, but that's good. Enjoy it, right? And so then that word just kept then popping up. I was like, that's the word. Because when good things are happening, enjoy it. It's easy when you're an overachiever and you're always moving the mark on yourself. It's easy to be doing all these amazing things and achieve all the things, but did you enjoy it? And I'm really at this point in my life where I'm like, there's been multiple things that have happened over the last year that it's just you realize how short life is and how fleeting and all the things. I've got 2 children and just the year has flown and it's like, did you enjoy it? You can check off all the boxes, but if you didn't enjoy the ride, what good was it? Why did you even get on it? You know what I mean? Like if you're just closing your eyes and gritting your teeth and waiting for the ride to be done, you might as well not even get on. And you know what I mean? So that was just some of the reasons and the things for me around this word enjoy is I want to really be present this year in enjoying the highs and finding the joy in the lows, tapping into what part of my situation I can enjoy, what the outcome will be, and I can shift my focus to those things and just keep saying that to myself. And so I'm excited for that word this year for me to be my North Star when things are hard or challenging or overwhelming or awesome, that I can remember to sit in that moment and find the epicness in it and tap into that feeling and ride it and enjoy that and let that bring even more amazing things to me. So I challenge you to pick a word for the year and see how that comes up for you for the rest of this year. It'll help you know what to do next. It'll help you know how to ground yourself next in each circumstance. So that's the first thing I suggest when you start a new year. And then, of course, it is helpful to know what are your core values in life? Like what encompasses, if you had to really narrow it down to several like core values for yourself that are important, that make up what life means to you and what a fulfilling life would look like to you. So for me, there's several categories. One is my spiritual health. That's always an important focus point for me. And my family life, my personal health, and impact. So I have like 4 core values and in that order: spiritual, family, personal health, and impact. And so then I know those are in the forefront. So then as I go through each day or I'm planning for each week, plan each day, each week, each month, those are then 4 really easy areas you can look at in your day and your week and make sure that you're touching on all those different things that are important to you throughout the week. And of course, each thing will have each amount of percentage of time. I mean, not technically, but I mean, when people get real technical and real busy, they do really break it down to percentage. Like what is the amount of times they want to give each of these areas? And you can really then start breaking it down on a tactical level if that's something that works well for your personality. But it's good to have on your radar, what are my core values? What makes me feel fulfilled and good in life? And make sure that I'm not just aimlessly living my life, like live it on purpose, right? Run your life, not be run by life. So for me, knowing those areas important to me are, a focus point then as I'm planning my days and planning my weeks of how I want to set those up. So I feel like I'm giving the love and attention to each of those segments that are important to me what they need for me to feel good. And sometimes you have to play with it. Sometimes you don't know. You just got to try things. That's another huge thing I say for the year, like with whatever goals you might have, even if you're narrowing it down and keeping it really focused so you're not overwhelmed by a ton of resolutions, you got to just try stuff. You just got to go for it and see what happens and then go from there. There's not really a wrong choice. It's the biggest failing choice is not to make a choice at all. It's just to stay still. So get moving, try something. Try something in these different areas. If you realize you didn't need as much time for one area and it needs to shift a little more to another, then shift it. Just be moving. A car in motion is easier to steer than one that's in park. So that's the second thing I do for the year is just make sure I know what are my core values and think about being intentional and how I'm going to distribute my time amongst those through my day-to-day, my week, and my month, and then therefore, your cumulative year. And the one thing I wanted to kind of close off this podcast episode with to start your year is I had seen this really great quote that somebody posted on Instagram. It didn't say who it was by, so I don't know who this is by, but I thought it was so great because every time we start a year, we're like, we want to become our best self, our most aligned self, our highest self, most abundant self, whatever it is, however you want to phrase it for you. But I love this quote. It says, the best version of yourself is not a future version. It's a daily choice. I was like, mic drop. That is it. It's so true that we don't have to view that this future best version of that's best version of ourselves is somewhere down the road. I'm always telling my clients or my people, it's something we're going to talk about when I fly to Belize in February to speak for a women's retreat. I have a segment called Level Up Your Life. Like one of the keys, and Elena Cardone taught me this, is be, do, have. You can be that future version of yourself that has all those things and has done all the stuff you want to do and has the life you want. You can literally be him or her today. Think, act, do those things. Be that person today. Do the things he or she would do, and you will down the road through compounding formula have what that version of you would have. And so I think that's empowering to know it's not some future thing. You can bring it into your life today. You can think the thoughts and spend your time the way that version of you would do to create the life they want. And you can do that right now. Do that every single day, and you will create those outcomes. Obviously, we can't predict and know exactly what those outcomes will be. We're not in control of life, but you're going to go where you want to go. So I loved that quote. I'm going to read it one more time. The best version of yourself is not a future version. It's a daily choice. And one of my guests that's going to be coming on here soon, that's epic, amazing. We were talking about how perspective is everything. And so that's the final thing I want to leave you with today that you can think about for the launch of your year is that perspective is everything. So you can view obstacles as opportunities. You can shift viewing struggle as that you're building strength. You can look at setbacks as actual stepping stones. You can see resistance as creating resilience. You can see your mistakes as a masterclass. You can see fears as actually fuel for courage. And you can see your pain as creating purpose. So it's all about a shift. All of those one sides of the columns I listed equal and at the same time can also be those other things. But which one do you want to claim? Which one do you want to live from? Which one do you want to function from, make decisions from, and claim for yourself and embody on a day-to-day basis when you run into these things in your life? So I hope this was helpful. I hope it was encouraging to launch your new year. I hope you guys are safe and sound. So many prayers for all my friends and family that are out in LA or near there that are enduring these insane fires. I wish I could send all the snow we're getting and funnel it somehow to you guys to help. But I know so many of you have been seeing those links to help, whether it's with food, whether it's with shelter. On Instagram, make sure you're following me on Instagram and any of those resources on there. Like everybody's sharing them. So if you haven't seen them, get on Instagram. People are sharing them left and right so that you can find help. Of course, you can shoot me a text and I can send them to you as well. But praying for everyone in LA that's enduring these fires. And I know that you're going to be even stronger on the other side. And I just, I feel for you and I pray for you. And I'm grateful for all of you listening. If this was a helpful episode, please share it with even one person that you think could use it. I would love it if you'd give the show a 5-star review. And I just appreciate you all and thank you for all the messages. And as usual, continue to feel free to shoot me ideas of people to have on, or topics that you would like to hear about or need help with, and I always take those into consideration and bring those up. So love you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye everyone.